What's up, everyone? Today we're going to look at the key takeaways of worlds. Now, you can find the world's let me see, history. You can find no, it's day one. You can find a lot of it here on the Pokemon channel. Official YouTube, the official Pokemon YouTube channel. Now, we see a few different teams used, but the most common Pokemon are in this graphic, the top 12 Pokemon. So, this is pretty predictable. Compared with Pikalytics, though, Iron Hands is higher usage than it used to be. Okay, I think on Switch and on Showdown. And yeah, just higher usage. So does that mean Iron Hands is getting better? I don't know about that. I think it's a good Pokemon, and I don't know all the reasons why the usage is going up, because it seems like there's more counters being introduced. Like Landorus usage is going up. People probably just are done experimenting with the other Pokemon and they're putting Iron Hands on now. I don't know all the reasons. It could be because in general the usage of other Pokemon they would use is going down, like Rillaboom. So it seems like they're mostly changing Rillaboom to Iron Hands because yeah, Rillaboom has a lot of weaknesses. It's still probably barely a top tier Pokemon, but it's kind of forced to Terra a lot, and Iron Hands might be a better Pokemon because of that. And as Iron Hands has 2 stab moves, it's bulkier, etc. So I can definitely see an argument for Iron Hands being used. It has some good key resist too that Grass doesn't have. So what are the other key takeaways? Well, I do think Iron Hands is a bit overrated. I don't know, a little bit overrated, not by a lot, because it's probably barely top tier, but like, I don't think it's the second best Pokemon. And Urshifu, I don't think is the third best Pokemon. To me, the top 2 are Landorus. Landorus is probably second. Fluttermane is probably number 1. Even though there are a lot of people trying to counter Fluttermane, it's just really good for spread and forces them to play a certain way. And Urshifu, just a lot of people are trying to counter it, like water moves in general, by using Sunny Day, Torkoal, Terra Water, water resistances like Rillaboom, Amoonguss, Rocky Helmet, whatnot. So there's that. It's still a really good Pokemon. And Tornadus is probably the best Tailwinder. Iron Hands is not the best Fake Outer. It's like a great jack of all trades type of Pokemon. And you don't see it here in the top 12, but for some reason we saw a lot of Cresselia on stream, and it actually did not do very well because it doesn't really have a lot of offense and mostly just sets up speed control and Lunar Blessing, but it's just pretty predictable what you're going to do. And if they have Intimidate, it kind of neutralizes your Cress ally to the point where it's like not even worth it. So if they have Intimidate on your team, you probably shouldn't be picking Cress, is my point. Especially if they have Pokemon that also wall it, like Chien-Pao, unless you have like Moonblast or something. So your best bet is to probably not bring Cress when they have Intimidate, unless you have a really powerful special attacker along with it. But there's not a lot of those in Trick Room. Like, are you really going to use Hatterene with Cress? Probably not. You're probably better off using Frigg with Hatterene if you're going for the hard Trick Room mode. For the consistency, its ability stopping priority moves. Now, the usage is pretty similar to the tiers, except I don't think Ursaluna is top tier. It relies on Trick Room to be good. And Heatran, I believe, is barely not top tier. It might be top, but just the fact that it's weak to so many things, and like 4 times weak, means you can't really lead with it very well. So I feel like it's not top tier, it's just below it. Same with Basculegion, unless maybe you can make an argument for the adaptability one being top tier, but I don't think so, because even then you can't really lead with Basculegion very well because of how Last Respects works. So we did see some of that on stream. Intimidate just seems really underrated and shuts down a lot of physical Pokemon. Even if they have crit moves, it shuts down their other physical Pokemon. And if you use like Choice Scarf with Landorus, then you can outspeed their Chien-Pao before you get hit, or you can use Terra Water to survive Urshifu and Chien-Pao and other Pokemon, and outspeed their Iron Hands before they Wild Charge you. And everything else is probably about the usage it should be. It's just, I think the usage for Iron Hand should be a little bit lower. Urshifu maybe well, it just depends. I mean, it can be a really good Pokemon. Urshifu, I don't know if this is just Rapid Strike or Single Strike. See, that's not what I'm not sure about, or both. So the usage isn't too out of whack for the tiers these Pokemon are in. It just depends on how you want to categorize the tiers. Like I was saying, Ursaluna is like top tier if you have the right ally, but to just slap it on a team, no, it's not top tier. And what else did we see that was unique? We saw Swords Dance Ursaluna. That was pretty surprising, considering how they're unlikely to protect versus Urshifu. But if you use Rage Powder or Fake Out support, you could definitely get a Swords Dance up sometimes. And having Swords Dance with that ability is actually like even better, because they can't just protect, and then you can kill them with like a Aqua Jet or whatever. And then what else? Chien-Pao is running Crunch over Throat Chop. That makes sense because there's barely any sound moves that are used. Like Snarl's like not really used. What's the other moves? Hyper Voice, not used that much, just by like Frigg. And Crunch can lower defense, so that's pretty good. So any Pokemon that is not a good lead, like Heatran, Basculegion, or Pokemon that rely on speed control to be good, like Ursaluna, I'd say are not top tier. And Pokemon that are affected by sun or weather for their damage output, like Urshifu Rapid Strike, they're affected by Storm Drain, also make it less consistent. So they're not as consistently good as other Pokemon might be. At least it can close combat through the rain. But a lot of the Pokemon used in rain resist close combat, like Pelipper and Basculegion, so I don't really count that much. But at least Chi-Yu can Dark Pulse and hit something usually for neutral or better in rain. And it's a little faster, so it does a little bit better even when it doesn't have weather on its side typically than Urshifu. And I think the main takeaway for me, though, of Worlds is that some of these unconventional Pokemon like Articuno can actually do really well on the right team, and Pokemon that are too much of a supportive Pokemon and too passive and kind of just rely on their ally to get all the offense going can be easily played around and beaten. They can double up on you or your ally at the right time. They can taunt you or whatever and just completely shut you down or just wall you. And having Pokemon that are both offensive and have speed control tend to probably be better, like Tornadus or Frig, having a really unique ability for shutting down priority, like limiting their options, not just like a good stuff's Pokemon, which like Iron Hands is kind of like that. That's why I'm saying it's kind of overrated, because if they have something that either outspeeds its fake out, like Rillaboom, they can outspeed your fake out you first or your ally, and then kind of get the ball rolling from there, or just intimidate and not worry too much about it. So thanks for watching.